Silverstone is officially 3 weeks away. Let's talk about it. Grab a cup of tea, grab some biscuits. This is gonna be your hopefully 20-minute crash course to Silverstone. So the British Grand Prix arrives. I can't believe it's 3 weeks away. That's pretty exciting. I think it's quite important to know A, what to expect, B, you know, how to prepare for it. I am gonna actually do a packing video separate to this. So if you're more of a packing video kind of person, sure. This is literally just a chat, me talking about some of the tips I'd have. I am no way affiliated with Silverstone, Formula One, anything to do with the British Grand Prix. I am just some girl yapping on the internet. But I'm yapping with experience. I've been to one Grand Prix and I've been to like other races before in motorsport. I'm a big fan of the superbikes as well. So let's go. Formula One and the British Grand Prix at Silverstone is perhaps the most expensive. It is the most expensive motorsport event, obviously because it's a more kind of well-known sport. And you know what? I think you get a lot of bang for your buck, you know? There is a lot of entertainment available and I think that's really great. And I think Silverstone have really put together a great package. And let's dive into that a little bit. So the package, by the way, I have my laptop. That I'm not ignoring you. It's just I have thoughts, you know? So the Silverstone kind of ticket, you know, you get, I have the 4-day festival ticket. So that includes access to all the races. We have a roving grandstand ticket. So across the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we can go into any grandstand. Obviously there's not a lot happening on the Thursday, it's media day, but you can go and see the media that's happening on the track side. And that's something I think people underestimate the power of. Obviously, if you're someone who, tip one, if you're looking to meet any of the drivers, if that's kind of the main reason you go to these races, I would definitely say Thursday is going to be a good day for that. It's a lot quieter. There is media events happening, so they're all coming into the paddock, and that's probably going to be an ideal time. I've not tested this. I haven't met a driver. It's not really my kind of focus when going to the Grand Prix. If you're looking to meet drivers, you'll be looking at your inner track access ticket, and your most ideal times would be first thing in the morning when you know they're kind of all arriving into that paddock again, or just before qualifying finishes. So you need to kind of, you know, are you willing to miss the end of qualifying to meet your favourite driver? Again, there is no guarantee to that, but it's something that I think with Silverstone you definitely have to kind of plan what's important to you and what you're looking to get out of this trip. For me, I want to see as much racing action as possible. I want to watch all the F3 races, all the F2 races, all the F1 races. That is something that you'll notice with Silverstone and any kind of Grand Prix. There are many races to kind of focus your time and efforts on. We had the Porsche Cup last year. I don't think it's running in Silverstone this year, on that weekend at least. And you know, going to see as much racing as you can, that's a good time. That's a good time to me. So I would definitely recommend, if you are planning on going and you're not really sure where you want to focus your efforts because it's your first time, that's okay. I would definitely recommend focusing on that track side, finding your seats and going from there. I also just mentioned roving tickets. Now, how Silverstone works is that you have different ticket categories. So you can get a seat for the one race, like, you know, your race time for one day, and you have one seat. So things like the Lando stand are assigned seat. You have that space, it is yours, it is your place to view the racing. On a roving ticket, and you will have, you know, a mobile barcode app that allows you to do this. They will be checking when you enter stands. You have the ability on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday to move between stands across the track. There are some stands that aren't included in that. I assume the Lando stand will not be included, but things like the Hamilton Straight, I think Hamilton Straight A is non-roving. but B is roving. Do kind of, you know, when your tickets come through, when that all comes through on the app, it'll be, you know, in the next couple of weeks, check where your ticket allows you to go and, you know, see where you want to view from. We had some really great views. I really enjoyed Village as somewhere to view from. I think you get a lot of action from Village, and that's kind of both Village A and Village B. There's also, obviously, with different stands, some of them are covered, some of them are uncovered, which is fine. You don't get kind of a restricted view from it, but it does help when the weather's a little bit bad. And it's Silverstone, the weather will be bad at some point. In the price of your ticket that you pay for, so that's your general access ticket, that's any kind of package ticket on, you know, a single day ticket or even an entire weekend ticket, you have access to a lot more than just the track. In the evenings, they have a concert. The lineup this year is looking really good. I'm really excited to see Ray in particular. I think it's just going to be pretty insane. And there's also, is it Sam Fender and also Fatboy Slim? There's someone else. Who's the other one? Becky Hill. There we go. So I've definitely been listening to their music in advance. Do I recommend it? I think if you want to enjoy it, like if you want to enjoy the music, it might be good to know at least one song. Last year when we did Silverstone, we had Kings of Leon, which was on the 4th of July, which was, you know, quite fun. Really love Kings of Leon. They were an insane artist to see live. I never probably would have seen them live if it wasn't for Silverstone. And also Stormzy. I remember Stormzy quite well. It was raining a lot that day, but Stormzy still came out and performed, and a lot of respect there. And those concerts, even when you're feeling really tired and, you know, you just want to get into the comfort of your tent, I think it's really worth putting in the time to go to those concerts. They are really fun. They are, you know, and it's great to have a crowd, right? As someone who enjoys going to concerts, and I'm sure many people are as well, there is no better feeling than an engaged crowd. So definitely go and enjoy it. Have a couple of drinks, have some food. It's all in kind of the same enclosed area. So you have sort of where the fan stage is, that's where all the main performances are. It's also the fan stage is where they do events throughout the day. So it's a very great place if you're looking for just some entertainment whilst between races, or looking for some food, or some entertainment with your food. I think that's just a great little enclosure. There's also, that's where the Ferris wheel will be. So it's a kind of a hub there. And going into it, there's a lot of merch stands. So if you're someone who is looking to buy some merch, that's a good area for you. Although merch stands are literally dotted everywhere. So you're never going to be without. We booked as a group, so it's a group of 6 of us going this year. Last year it was a group of 8 and we got 2 tents in the glamping package. This year we're doing 1 tent with all 6 of us in. I personally think that the Ridings is a great option if you're not, you know, wanting to carry a load of camping equipment with you. You do have that Thursday to obviously set up your tent and kind of arrive and settle in. And I think the Thursday is a very underrated day actually on the calendar. With the glamping package at the Ridings is the closest campsite to trackside. So it's a little bit less walking going on, which is a bonus. It's definitely a bonus there. And it's fully furnished, including towels are provided. You get, you know, a bed that's lifted off the ground. There's like some fairy lights. There is an adapter. I would recommend bringing an extension if you are staying at the Ridings this year, because there aren't that many plug sockets and you just might need a couple of extras. And it's in, you know, a tent that they provide and it's already put up when you arrive. So you are literally just given your number, your tent number from the staff. They also have parking included in that. So if you're driving, you have your own parking area that is for those glamping guests. And they do also take you on from parking to the site. They have like a buggy and they will take all your luggage with you as well. So it's a really kind of like VIP experience to that. If you're someone who's wanting to go to Silverstone but is not like wanting to camp, don't do the ridings. Like, it's still pretty much a campsite. It's just got a little bit more of the extras. But if camping really isn't your thing, I don't know if glamping at Silverstone will be your thing either. But I think if you're looking for a bit more of an elevated experience, I think it's a great option. If you want to see a little bit more detail of the riding, what the tents look like, a bit of a walk around, that kind of thing, it's just a little bit more information for you there. In your ticket with the ridings, you get free inner track access or complimentary inner track access. It's included in the price of your staying there. That's a great bonus if you're particularly looking to meet those drivers or go into that inner track area. It's obviously going to be a great bonus on top of everything else that you're doing. And having that just in our ticket price meant that we could just walk over. You get a wristband that says you're at the ridings and you show that to the staff, they'll be able to let you through. In terms of the facilities provided for those staying at the riding, you get free breakfast included in your stay. This is a kind of buffet breakfast. There is quite a lot of options. There is kind of a hot buffet, which kind of supplies your full English stuff. Fried eggs, I didn't see any other variation of eggs whilst I was there, but I'm sure you can request. And that's something that I thought was really good. They were very accommodating to allergies. If you're someone with celiac or gluten intolerance or lactose intolerance, there was a lot of milk alternatives available anyways, but they also did have, you know, gluten-free versions of bread available, and all the mains were actually gluten-free to begin with. So the sausages and like etc. Didn't contain wheat. And I really enjoyed having that hot breakfast in the morning. It really set you up for the day. You get your free, you know, tea and coffee, a bit of fruit juice. You're going into your day feeling refueled, ready to kind of start. And that really came in clutch, I must be honest. It meant that we didn't have to spend on breakfast at the trackside, which can be expensive. Meals at Silverstone are not a cheap thing. Where else are you going to go get food? That's why it's so expensive. There are some really great options though in terms of the food trucks they have available, and also in terms of, you know, restaurants. So the Ridings does actually have its own restaurant in the evenings and at lunchtime, but you have to pay an additional charge for those. We didn't pay for that. We just kind of, once we were out for the day, we kind of stayed out. It was very rare that we actually came back to our campsite. With the Ridings, you also get a yoga and pamper tent. You do have to pay for your massages or any treatment you receive, and that's something you should kind of keep in mind. We didn't actually use this as a benefit to our campsite. We didn't pay to have, you know, the yoga classes or any of the pamper treatments. This includes, you know, back, shoulder massages as well. This is because there was so much happening trackside, we just didn't have time. We really wanted to kind of fit in a bit of a massage to kind of, I wanted to review that, but I'll maybe try this year. I think there's a couple less races, so there might be a little bit more freedom and movement, so I can try that out. But that is included. I think these treatments were your typical kind of spa prices. I don't think they came at much of a reduction. So looking kind of £65 plus per person per treatment. So it's expensive, but there is that kind of luxury to it. It's, who wouldn't love to have a bit of a 6 a.m. yoga session before race day? Apparently not me. We had obviously our own private showers, bathrooms. They were kind of like luxury campsite bathrooms, so they had kind of, it was a toilet, like it was just a toilet, man. Like a toilet you'd have in a house, but in like a kind of portaloo thing, but not a portaloo, like not the plastic ugly portaloos. Like they were decent, and they had sinks which had hot taps. You also had this shower area which had quite a lot of showers. I never actually had to wait for a shower. They were always kind of, there's always at least a handful empty, so that's obviously a great benefit there. And the water was hot. It was hot water. It was quite nice. Really kind of got like grime off you after a long day. And they also have kind of this very luxury kind of makeup area or vanity desks, vanity benches, vanity tables. They had a kind of a Dyson Airwrap equivalent on each desk, so you could kind of style your hair in the mornings, That's a hairdryer provided. They also provide you towels in your tent. You get 1 towel each. So if you're someone like myself who requires a couple more towels, you want one for your hair, or you want them to like put on the floor for your feet and stuff, I would recommend bringing maybe an extra couple small towels from home. That's something I'm definitely going to do this year, is just a couple of, you know, old towels that if they get muddy, I can get rid of them. So it's something that's not really valuable to me. I will say that it does get muddy in the campsite. So last year we had a lot of rain at Silverstone. It was quite unfortunate actually, but it made for an interesting race at least. Did it? I think it did, yeah. I think F2 and F3, there was a couple of like spins. So I definitely think that if you're going into this thinking luxury experience, remember that they cannot control the weather there. So it can be luxury. It feels quite luxurious in your tent. It's, you know, you have a bed that's risen off the ground. That feels quite nice. You have a mattress, a lovely mattress. It was very soft actually. You have all this luxury, but it's very muddy, it's very wet, it's very cold. So you don't have central heating in your tent. You don't have like a heating element. So I think I will talk about this a lot more in my packing video as well, is prepare clothes that are going to withstand that weather. So make sure you've got, you know, chain of trousers and waterproofs. Make sure you've got kind of layers, base layers, thermal layers, because if it's cold, you will genuinely feel really cold for the rest of your trip. And, you know, bonus of having the ridings for breakfast was that you could always get a hot drink first thing in the morning, and that did come in clutch. It was quite fresh in those mornings, and I'm hoping this year the weather's a little bit better, and I don't need to be living out of, oh, how many layers did I have? I had a t-shirt, I had a Mercedes hoodie that I bought there because I was so cold. I needed like a thicker hoodie. I had like a thinner like jumper on. I did have like a long sleeve t-shirt on, so it's like so I had like a thermal vest t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt, and a thin jumper. I then upgraded to the Mercedes kind of jumper, and then I had a like waterproof coat and then a poncho as well. So you need your layers, that's for sure. I definitely think they came in handy. I then wanted to move on to my other tips and tricks, and one of them that really kind of stood out to me when I was thinking about my time at Silverstone is that Wi-Fi and signal is really hard to come by. And that's fine, you know, it's literally the middle of nowhere, and that wouldn't be a problem if everything wasn't all on one app. You need to use the Silverstone app, which takes a lot of traffic over that weekend. We found that a lot of the times the app would just be very kind of unresponsive, or, you know, we couldn't actually get a hold of people as easily as we wanted. Particularly, it's also a very loud environment, so if you're calling someone, you are kind of straining to hear them on the phone. It's part of the experience. It's not a negative, even though I kind of phrased it like a negative, but just something that I felt was, I really hope they bring back physical maps at Silverstone. I think they'd be really useful, but I understand their push to kind of, you know, sustainability with that. Everyone does kind of have a smartphone, they can access that app, but the app is quite convenient. It has all the events that are going on in that day. You can kind of build out your timetable, what you want to do, where you want to be, and really kind of optimize your time, that there is always something going on every hour of the day. And that's something that I really liked about that Silverstone experience. If you're doing the whole weekend, or even if you're just doing a day, I would recommend putting the events that you want to go to into your phone calendar. So if that's your Apple calendar, your Google calendar, just something that doesn't require signal for you to check. This is quite easily done. Silverstone does have a button on the app that you can just add it to an invite on your calendar. So I would 100% recommend doing that if you've got the kind of time, or, you know, if you're driving there and there's a bit of traffic. There will be traffic on the way there. There will be traffic. Then someone can just kind of put them all in their calendar, so you're not, you know, not remembering where you wanted to go at what time, and you're suddenly missing an event that was really important to you. Having that kind of cross-transferred is going to make that experience a little bit smoother, and that's probably one of the biggest tips I have, is if you want to utilize that time as fully as possible, make sure that you're just not waiting for the app to load, because there's still things going on and you don't want to miss it because you're waiting. I hope that tip comes in handy. Let me know if you use it. Let me know if you kind of went last year and how your signal was. Other advice that I would have if you're considering going to Silverstone for the first time is what you're wearing. So I've been seeing this quite a lot. You know, you have events in the race calendar such as Monaco, or Miami, which are these really luxurious events, and there's a lot of high fashion going on with them. And I really respect that for those races. Silverstone is not that kind of race, unless you're in the hospitality package. So if you're doing hospitality and you're in the paddock, there is a bit more of a fashion code. I think it's just smart casual. Smart casual thing? Yeah, smart casual. Where, you know, I think it's moving away from kind of jeans and trainers, but everyone else, if you're doing any other package, the glamping package, the camping package, 1 day package, unless you're in the Lando stand, you have to wear fluorescent or papaya. I think that's like a rule of being in that stand, is that you gotta rep McLaren, man. But if you're anywhere else, fashion is not important. And even if you're in the Lando stand, please be wearing your McLaren t-shirt, but also please be prioritizing your health and your comfort, because Silverstone is cold. It is windy. It is a windy track. You probably hear like a lot of the drivers talking about it. You will also feel that. You definitely want something that is weatherproof. So I think in terms of shoes as well, you want several pairs of shoes if you can possibly do that. But also things like walking boots are so important. I think for that entire trip, I didn't once prioritize kind of my fashion, and instead just went for as much comfort and also representing my teams. So I'm a big Mercedes fan. I know I'm wearing a McLaren t-shirt right now, but Gemma Scott's wearing my Mercedes hat. But I think if you're, you know, represent your teams, enjoy it. If you're someone, I'm also someone who really does enjoy my fashion. I love kind of dressing up, but I did find that I was so cold, I didn't even care. That's something you can just make sure that you're packing for as well. I will also mention this more in my packing video, but I thought it was at least worth discussing, you know? In terms of, as we were kind of talking about merch and representing your team, let's talk about merchandise. So we all know that the F1 merchandise can be expensive. It just is. It's like any kind of fandom oriented, you know, sports teams, it's like concerts, anything on that spectrum where the only place you can get it is at that place, it's going to be expensive. So this was the George Russell like Silverstone edition cap that was limited last year. This was like £60 for a cap. Sorry, John Scott, I didn't mean to. It's expensive, and so I bought a Mercedes jumper, like the 3/4 zip, with the Tommy Hilfiger. I miss the Tommy Hilfiger collab. Love Adidas, but it's not Tommy Hilfiger, is it? And that was, I want to say 150 for a sweater. So it is expensive. I think just your casual kind of team t-shirts, like the official race t-shirts, are about £90, 90 pounds, potentially 100 if it's like a limited edition to Silverstone. So be prepared that merch is going to cost. If you still want to represent and that is a little bit out of budget, look at places like Vinted and eBay. They do have people selling older merch that they perhaps don't want anymore. And I've definitely seen some good bargains on there, unless you're a Ferrari fan, because Ferrari merch costs a lot. It's because it's fashionable. Ferrari's high fashion, isn't it? Something I definitely would recommend if you're looking at getting merch, or just buy your merch on the store online before heading out. It's quite nice. I personally will still spend money on merch because it's the memory associated with it. I bought this t-shirt at Silverstone last year. It was in the big F1 store. They, like, all the teams have their own sections. I got this in the McLaren section, obviously, but you totally didn't need that spelling out to you, but in case you were wondering. I think so many people are wearing their team merch. Not much Red Bull stuff though. I mean, you can probably assume why. I did think like Aston Martin and Williams didn't have much. Actually no, Aston Martin had a lot in the UK, but Williams didn't, which surprised me. But hopefully this year we might get a little bit more. That'd be nice. There is kind of like a divide on how many merch stands there are. So I think like Williams, I don't remember having kind of their own independent merch stand, but your big four did, and Aston Martin, apparently. So just keep an eye out, they're everywhere. They are good fun to have a look around and to burn a hole in your wallet, so yay! Another kind of tip that I would probably talk about is bathrooms, particularly on race day and also the Saturday. We found that the trackside gets busy on these days. That is not to be kind of underestimated. It is busy, it is a huge event. There are a lot of people in attendance. You find that just before a race, or if you're trying to between races, you want to quickly go to the loo, we found that it was actually quicker to walk back to our campsite. So this is a bonus if you're at the ridings. I would totally recommend going back to the ridings, using your loos, and then going back out. We did that actually quicker than people queuing, waiting on trackside. So keep that in mind. It was nice to have a private toilet as such that was quite close by. This might not be accessible for kind of all. That, I think, covers everything I want to talk about with Silverstone. Hopefully this was somewhat interesting. I think it's going to be a really exciting event. Obviously, it's great that McLaren are doing so well at this time. If they can keep that going for Silverstone, that would be pretty exciting. I know that a lot of fans at Silverstone, obviously it being kind of their home team, there is a lot of papaya going around, so I'm excited for that to happen. In terms of the lead up to kind of the event, obviously I'm going to upload a packing video as well, so stay tuned for that. Give me a little like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Subscribe if you want to see the packing video, because then it'll be in your homepage and then you don't have to find me again. I'm also going to be doing two vlogs ahead of Silverstone as well, which are going to be the fan events of Williams and McLaren in London. I'm based in London and I'm currently on garden leave. Am I allowed to say that on the internet? I'm on garden leave. I have the free time to go and see these events. Let's see how they go. I will be going on my own. I will be soloing these. So that's even more exciting because solo adventures in London, that's pretty cool content. And then I will also kind of do an overview of the actual race weekend. I'm debating if I should do them as individual days and individual videos, or if I should do a big mega video like I did last time. So if you have any thoughts on that, comment. I hope you enjoyed our little yap sesh. See you on the track.